Hey, it's Willie Armelini with Flowers and Scents with your floral industry buzz. Today I'm going to interview Tim Huckabee, the profitable florist guy. Tim has been around the business a really long time. I've followed him here, there, and everywhere, and he teaches florists how to make more money, be better florists. So, without further ado, Tim Huckabee. All right, Tim Huckabee. All right, Mr. Tim, look, you and I probably have been in the same room or the same buildings together over the last 20 years, more than once, and yet I don't know that we've ever crossed paths.
It's true.
Maybe just in passing. I think I know that guy. I'm not quite sure who he is, but I'm glad we finally connected here because I've been, again, I knew about you through your advertisements and Florist Review and your print magazine and your ads. I was like, all right, this guy, he's somebody in the flower industry. Maybe I should talk to him. And
Okay.
so, so here I am. Welcome to Flowers and Scents.
Thank you.
All right, how'd you get in the flower business, man?
I fell into it complete total accident. What happened was I grew up in Connecticut, and in the spring of 1993, I had moved to New York City, which was only 60 miles away, quick train ride, quick car ride, but everybody knows it's super expensive.
Hmm.
So I had gone to school for marketing, and my plan was I'm going to get a real job in marketing. But if you remember, in '93 we were in a recession, so the economy was tough. And after about a month, I realized I got to do something. I got to have some money coming in. So I remember this is the '90s, early '90s. So I opened the newspaper and I was looking through the want ads, and I saw an ad for a flower shop, and it said customer service rep wanted, flower shop Upper West Side. Here are the hours, and I think, and they listed the pay. And I thought, oh my gosh, easiest job in the world. Anybody can do this.
I can do that.
Yeah, yeah. So I went in, met with the owner, super, super nice guy, and they hired me. And my plan was I'm gonna just use this as a stopgap until I get my real job, until I'm on my career path. Cut to 33 years later, it worked out a little bit differently. So what happened was I started working there 2 weeks before Mother's Day. I absolutely loved everything about it. I love the people that I worked with. I love the customers. I was very fortunate because the store was on the Upper West Side, which, if you know anything about New York City, super, super affluent residential part of the city. And it was not uncommon for me to walk down onto the floor of the store and bump into Lauren Bacall, Cyndi Lauper, Stiller and Mirror. Just there were tons of celebrities who lived in our neighborhood, and that just made it even more exciting. So it was a wonderful wonderful experience. So that's how I got into the industry. Do you want me to tell you
Yeah,
the
well,
genesis of my business? Want me to keep it
well,
keep it
yeah.
rolling?
Obviously, it spawned into something else because perhaps you didn't get that job you were looking for, but you found another path.
True, true, true. So what happened was I stayed there for 4 years, really enjoyed it, but kind of in the back of my mind, I was still feeling like I'm not doing what I went to school for. I'm not doing the marketing. So I took a job at a marketing company. It's a furniture company. I was going to be in charge of marketing. And um, I realized after I was there about a week that, oh my gosh, I've got this wealth of industry knowledge that's just going to be wasted. So I was walking through 28th Street, which, if anybody knows anything about New York City,
Been there a lot of times.
that's the flower market. And there was the van from the store where I worked and the owner. So I went up to him, and this again was right before Mother's Day. Any flower shop always wants extra hands on board at Mother's Day.
Sure.
So I said, this is what I like. Here are my plans. Do you need help for Mother's Day? And he said, yes. So I came back. I went back to work with them for a little while. But then I sat down and I said to him, this is what I want to do. I want to take all of these best practices, the way that we operate everything from the hiring process to the designing to delivery, put it together as a package and go and start teaching this to other flower shops. Obviously, drawing like a 30-mile circle around the store. I wouldn't help his direct competitors,
Hmm.
But that was the genesis of my business. And this was in 1997. And still to this day, I am the only person in the entire world with my job. I'm the only person who will visit a flower shop, regardless of location, size, and teach you how to sell better, how to serve better, how to run the store more efficiently. And that has been an incredibly rewarding journey for me because I visited over 6,000 flower shops on 5 continents. I've been to all 50 states. I've been to little tiny mom and pop stores that do $100,000 a year. I've been to, stores like Winston Flowers that do into the millions. I have customers like Nans and Craft, the oldest family-owned business in
Yep,
the country,
yep.
celebrating 175 years. And I regularly talk to people who are just about to launch a business everywhere in between. So it's
And
exciting.
so why do florists need so much help? Is this because, you're like my sister-in-law decides she wants to be a florist. She doesn't know anything about being a florist except she likes to play with flowers. And her husband's got a little bit of money, so he opens a shop for her, gives her some money, and boom, she's in business. And now what? Is that how?
Yeah, yeah. That is definitely a repeated pattern. As far as I know, Louisiana remains the only state in the
It
country
requires it,
that requires
a
you
license.
to get a license, akin to becoming a hairdresser or opening a bakery. So what that means is yes, that theoretically anybody can roll out of bed, do a stretch, and say, "I'm a florist." And the problem with that is most of those people are creative people. So they're driven by the passion of working with this beautiful product, helping people, and that's great. But it often comes literally at the expense of not having business education. And the industry in general kind of perpetuates that problem. So many of the events that you go to, it's all about design, design, design. But as soon as you start talking about business or sales, that's like kryptonite. There are like 3 people in those workshops, and and then there are people who are setting up GoFundMe pages to attend a design symposium. So there's this incredible imbalance, and I think it gets even worse because sometimes florists feel like they can justify by saying, "Oh, I'm a creative person, so I don't know about the business stuff." Like almost that's their get out of jail free card. And it's unfortunate because there are fewer and fewer retail florists, than even when I started my business back in 1997. Our population has grown, our economy has blown up, but there are fewer and fewer retail florists. And you can argue a lot of different points, the internet, the expansion through grocery stores, but it comes down to that too many flower shops just crash and burn because they don't have the business acumen to sustain it and become profitable.
Well, here we are. We're coming up on Valentine's Day. And then perhaps we should, maybe you can offer a couple tips for somebody who might be listening to this, a retail florist who's sitting there wondering how he's going to manage the 23% increase they just got, or whatever, if they got an increase out of Columbia because of the wage increase there, which is, something we could have a whole discussion on. But the reality is, they're having to make some decisions. Maybe their prices just went up, or their costs went up based on what they thought they were going to have to pay. How do they manage that?
So let me just preface it by saying my advice is rooted in experience. What I have done for years and years and years is always spent Valentine's Day working with one of my customers. For a long time, I spent it in Albuquerque. I'm actually getting on a plane. I live in Amsterdam. I'm heading to New York this weekend to spend Valentine's Day working with a flower shop in northern New Jersey called Wyckoff Florists and Gifts. So what florists can do is number one, remember it's a luxury purchase. There's too much of this race to the bottom. Oh, I don't want to offer that price and scare away customers. I'm competing with the grocery store. Ours is the only industry where there's a race to the bottom. It's a luxury purchase. Wrap it in wonderful service, and you can get a higher price point. On a very practical level, here we stand talking on January 29th. If I were working in a flower shop, every person I'm talking to today, unless he's ordering flowers for a funeral because you want to be respectful. At the end of the call, I would say to him, "Hey, before I let you go, I'd love to tell you about our Valentine's specials so I can save you the last minute rush." In addition to that, where too many florists fall down is we don't sell the add-ons. The website does it all the time. The website sells the teddy bears, the balloons, the chocolates, the candles. The staff on the floor have a million excuses. I've heard them all, from "I'm too busy" to "if customers want it, they'll ask for it" to "I don't want to seem pushy." But the website says a different story. So the language has to be simple and basic. You sell the primary item and jump in and say, "Oh, as a finishing touch, we can include a 10-piece box of locally made chocolate truffles. They're just X. As a finishing touch, I can attach a happy birthday balloon. We've got heart-shaped ones. They're just Y." That's important. I would say my secret weapon is this. And I was taught this a long time ago. I practiced it and perpetuated it forever. And that is, when I'm taking a Valentine order, what I will, and whether that's on the phone or at the counter, I'll say to the customer before we part ways, "Oh, by the way, are there any other special ladies you like to remember at this holiday?"
Hmm.
And instantly, you've kind of changed the dynamic that Valentine's Day isn't just about romance, it's about affection. It's about friendship, it's about acknowledgement. And I will tell you that about 1 out of 3 customers will say, "Oh, you know what? That's a great idea. I want to send something to my elderly neighbor, to my mother-in-law, something small for my daughter." And there you are, you're increasing your sales on the fly and also showing the customer that you've got really kind of out of the box thinking customer service, and they appreciate that.
Hey, Tim, I was, growing up, sort of being in the flower business. I grew up in the trucking
Of
business,
course.
so flowers was our commodity. So I ended up realizing I was in the flower business. But, going into a florist shop as a child, it was a scary experience, I have to tell you. It was like, don't, I'm going with my mom to buy something, and don't touch this, don't touch that. And it was always sort of intimidating. And I thought, this is not a really friendly place. Now,
You're
again,
right.
that was as a child. Now, growing up, I've been into a lot of flower shops, not 6,000, but I've been in a few, I've been in a lot of wholesale houses. And I have been in retail shops where it was so accommodating. It felt like walking into I don't know, a Starbucks, to give an example, perhaps. It was a welcoming, friendly, accommodating, and not intimidating. And I've been into some florist shops where I couldn't get out of the building fast enough because, like, where's the flowers? They're in the back room in the cooler. Yeah, but I want to see them. Anyway, I don't, you probably have had that experience as well. I mean, some shops are just wonderful to walk into. They're an experience, and some are probably not.
So to that point, one of the tenets of our philosophy is we teach mantras. We have 6 sales mantras, but the one that I'll bring up because it's appropriate to your comment is we say flat out, "Make shopping easier." Now more than ever, as a consumer, I can get flowers at a grocery store. I can get them at a big box store. I can buy them online. At the holidays, heck, the police departments are selling Valentine roses. So we have to endeavor to make it as easy as possible for customers to shop with us. And that comes to life in a variety of ways, including the demeanor of the staff. Are you welcoming? Are you engaging? Are you asking customers, "What brought you to our flower shop today? What special flowers can I help you to choose?" But also making your products accessible, having a variety of prices and design styles available, ready to grab and go, and just taking ourselves a little less seriously. We have a tendency to act like we're heart surgeons. We're not. We're selling flowers. It's a fun commodity. We need to have a little bit more levity in our day, in my experience.
Hey, so you've worked with, typically you're being contacted, I guess, by retail florists, and you engage with them. And yet, have you worked with wholesalers to try to use them as your sort of pivot point because they represent a lot of retailers in a sense?
I do. Probably about 15 years ago, I was approached by a couple of wholesalers who said to me, "We see and hear everything you do with retails. We want some of that mojo. How can you help us?" And I paused for a hot minute only because up until that point, I had not worked in wholesale, but I thought it's got to be a variation on a theme. And it was interesting because what I discovered was the same issues and same weaknesses and the same pain points happen in wholesale that they do in retail.
That's
In other
true.
words, the wholesaler predetermines that his customer isn't going to want to buy the chocolate cosmos, so we never mentions it to him, so the customer never buys it.
They don't buy.
So there's some of that. You know, human nature is we get into ruts, we get lazy, we wanna profile, we want to predict what's going to happen. There's a tendency when I'm teaching a wholesale group, I there's a question that I ban, and the question that I ban them from ever asking is, do you need anything? Of course they need something. Tell them what you
What they
have.
need. Yeah,
Get
tell them.
get them excited about what just came in or what they haven't bought from you before. So yes, we do work with wholesalers as well.
I'm perhaps a gullible consumer because, I'm a musician, so I often walk into music shops to buy something. And if I walk out of there without buying anything, it's because I got terrible service. I've gone into some stores where you have to wait on yourself essentially, and I'm in there with money, I'm ready to buy, and I end up walking out with nothing because nobody gave me service, and that was a
Mhm.
bottom line.
Right,
And
right.
it happens.
My favorite example of that is I was in a flower shop in Manchester, England, probably 15 years ago, and the way the store was set up, I could see straight back to the work area. And I walked in, I'm standing there and I'm waiting, and I can see the two girls, ladies, women at the very back, sitting there smoking, talking to each other, looking at me, just continued smoking. So it was like they were going to finish their smoke break
Right.
before they helped me. So I just said,
So yes.
and walked out. When we're preparing to do training, whether it's me coming on site or working remotely, we ask flower shop owners, give us a list of the things that you want to get addressed. If you have like special bugaboos, special pain points, and often what they'll say is, I want my team to answer the phone quicker. I want them to not hide behind the counter. I want them to welcome customers to the store. And that truly sets the tone. And what we do is we banish the tired old question of how can we help you? And we replace it with about 15 different options that range anywhere from what special flowers can I help you to choose to what is it that you're celebrating today? Or just flat out, what brought you to our flower shop? And that's more engaging and it kind of lowers the stress and the tension level for the customer who immediately feels like, oh, I'm in the hands of an expert. I'm going to tell her my story. I'm going to explain to him what I need, and they're going to guide me. So that's what we teach.
I like that. Well, Tim, as I expected, 20 minutes goes really quickly. So, so you are the profitable florist, .com, yes?
Correct.
And with a nice URL like that, I like that URL. It says everything that needs to be said. So when people if they're interested in what you're doing, go to the profitableflorist.com, yeah?
Absolutely. We have samples, we have ebooks. There are many ways we can work together, and it's all scaled to what your needs are and your budget and your timeline. So no flower shop is too new or too small, or too old or too big.
I like it. All right, Mr. Tim Huckabee, thank you for your time, sir, and
Well, thank
enjoy
you.
your time in Amsterdam. It's cold here, but I bet it's colder there.
It's pretty cold. I'll be in touch when I get back to New York. Talk to you
Uh,
soon.
All right, indeed. Thank you, sir.